The rain stung like needles, each drop a reminder of the life Jamie Carter had lost. At 18, he was supposed to be dreaming of college, love, and a future bright with possibility. But instead, he was shivering on a Chicago park bench, his world reduced to a soaked hoodie and a backpack stuffed with everything he owned. 3 days ago, his parents' screams still echoed in his ears, "You're no son of ours." They'd found the love letters, tucked under his mattress, scribbled in the margins of his sketchbook, were words meant for Ryan, his best friend, his first love. Jamie had poured his heart into those pages, each one a confession of the feelings he'd hidden since he was 14. But when his father tore them apart, his mother weeping and his older brother turning away in silence, Jamie knew his home was no longer his. The door slammed behind him, and the streets became his refuge. Chicago's Lincoln Park was quiet tonight, save for the patter of rain and the distant hum of traffic. Jamie pulled his knees to his chest, his breath fogging in the October chill. He'd always loved this park, its sprawling lawns, the lakefront breeze, the way the city skyline glittered like a promise. Now, it was just a place to survive. He hadn't eaten since yesterday, when a kind barista slipped him a free coffee and a stale muffin. His stomach growled, but worse was the ache in his chest, the weight of being unwanted. Across the park, Elena Martinez walked briskly, her umbrella shielding her from the drizzle. At 45, she was a self-made real estate mogul, her name synonymous with Chicago's skyline. Her penthouse overlooked Lake Michigan, her life a tapestry of boardrooms and charity galas. Yet tonight, something had pulled her from her usual routine. She'd dismissed her driver, craving a solitary walk to clear her mind after a grueling day. Her heels clicked on the wet path, her thoughts heavy with memories of her own pasta childhood in foster care, a life built from nothing. She almost missed him, the boy on the bench. But the flicker of a street lamp caught his silhouette, and something in his posture curled tight, like he was bracing for another blow. Stopped her. Elena slowed, her heart tugging. She'd seen too many kids like him in her volunteer work at shelters, young, scared, cast out for being themselves. Her own sister, Maria, had been one of them, lost to the streets years ago for loving who she loved. Elena never forgave herself for not finding her in time. "Hey," she called softly, approaching the bench. Jamie flinched, his green eyes wary as they met hers. "You okay out here?" He didn't answer, just tightened his grip on his backpack. Elena lowered her umbrella, letting the rain dampen her coat. "It's freezing. You got somewhere to go?" Jamie's voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. "Nowhere's better than here." Elena's chest tightened. She'd heard those words before, from Maria, from countless others. She glanced at the skyline, her empire, then back at the boy who had nothing. "I'm Elena," she said, crouching to his level. "And I'm not leaving you out here." Jamie stared, torn between distrust and desperation. He'd learned quickly that the streets didn't offer kindness without a catch. But Elena's eyes held something different, not pity, but understanding. Against his better judgment, he nodded. Elena's car was a world away from Jamie's reality, leather seats, heated air, the faint scent of her perfume. She drove him to a diner on the edge of the city, one of those 24-hour spots with neon signs and waitresses who called you Han. Over pancakes and coffee, Jamie's story spilled out in fragments. His parents, devout and unyielding, had called his love for Ryan a sin. His brother, Caleb, who he'd idolized, had said nothing as their father threw Jamie's clothes into the yard. Ryan, too, had vanished, too scared to face his own truth. Elena listened, her face unreadable but her eyes soft. She didn't push, didn't pry, just let him talk until the words ran dry. When the check came, she paid without a word, then slid a business card across the table. "I run a foundation," she said. "We help kids like you LGBTQ youth with nowhere to go. There's a shelter downtown. Safe, warm, no questions asked." Jamie hesitated, the card heavy in his hand. "Why do you care?" "Because someone should have cared for my sister," Elena said, her voice breaking for the first time. "And because you deserve better than a park bench." The shelter was a converted warehouse, its walls lined with murals painted by the kids who stayed there. Jamie's cot was narrow but clean, the blankets soft against his skin. For the first time in days, he slept without fear of footsteps or rain. But sleep brought dreams: Ryan's laugh, his parents' voices, the door slamming shut. He woke with a start, the ache still there. Elena visited the next day, bringing a bag of clothes and a sketchbook. "I noticed your drawings," she said, nodding at the pencil sketches peeking from his backpack. "You're good." Jamie shrugged, embarrassed but warmed by her words. Art had always been his escape, his way of making sense of a world that didn't want him. Elena's foundation offered more than shelter: art classes, job training, therapy. Jamie wasn't ready to trust it yet, but Elena's presence was steady, a lighthouse in his storm. Days turned to weeks. Jamie found a rhythm: mornings sketching in the shelter's common room, afternoons helping with odd jobs. He met others like him: Mia, a trans girl with a sharp wit; Leo, a non-binary teen who played guitar like it was their soul speaking. They became his makeshift family, their laughter a balm for his wounds. But Ryan lingered in his thoughts, a ghost he couldn't shake. One evening, Elena invited Jamie to a gala for her foundation. "You don't have to speak," she said. "Just see what we do. You might find something worth staying for." Jamie went, feeling out of place in a borrowed suit among Chicago's elite. The ballroom glittered, chandeliers casting light on faces he recognized from the news. Elena spoke passionately about her mission, her voice carrying the weight of her own losses. Jamie watched, awed by her strength, wondering if he could ever find that in himself. As the night ended, Elena found him by the balcony, staring at the city. "You're not alone, Jamie," she said. "Not anymore." For the first time since that rainy night, Jamie believed her. But deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. His past wasn't done with him yet. The gala had changed something in Jamie. Standing on that balcony, the Chicago skyline stretching before him, he felt a spark of possibility. Elena's words, "You're not alone," echoed in his mind, a lifeline he clung to as he navigated the shelter's routines. But the past was a shadow, and it wasn't long before it found him again. Winter settled over Chicago, blanketing the city in snow. Jamie spent his days sketching, his pencil capturing the faces of his new friends: Mia's sly grin, Leo's quiet intensity. His art was his voice, each stroke a step toward healing. Elena noticed, encouraging him to join the shelter's art program. "You could sell these," she said one afternoon, flipping through his sketchbook. "Or teach others. You've got a gift." Jamie blushed and used to praise. "It's just doodling." "It's more than that," Elena insisted. "It's you." Her belief in him was a warmth he hadn't felt since Ryan. Ryan. The name still stung, a wound that refused to close. Jamie hadn't heard from him since the night his parents found the letters. He wondered where Ryan was, if he was safe, if he ever thought of him. The not knowing was worse than the rejection. One morning, as Jamie helped clear snow from the shelter's walkway, A familiar figure appeared at the gate. Caleb, his older brother, stood there, hands shoved in his pockets, his face a mix of guilt and uncertainty. Jamie froze, the shovel slipping from his hands. "Jamie," Caleb said, his voice low. "Can we talk?" The shelter's common room was warm, but Jamie felt cold as he sat across from his brother. Caleb looked older, his jaw shadowed with stubble, his eyes avoiding Jamie's. "I didn't know where you went," he said finally. "Mom and Dad, they're still angry. But I couldn't stop thinking about you." "Then why didn't you say something?" Jamie's voice cracked. "You just stood there while they kicked me out." Caleb flinched. "I was scared. I didn't know how to handle it. But I'm here now." Jamie wanted to scream, to throw every hurt at Caleb, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he asked, "What do you want?" "I want you to come home," Caleb said. "They'll come around. Jamie. They have to." But Jamie knew better. Home wasn't a place anymore. It was a feeling, one he was starting to find at the shelter. "I can't," he said. "Not yet." Caleb left, promising to return, but Jamie felt the weight of his brother's words. Could his parents change? Did he even want them to? The shelter had given him a new Lindsay community that accepted him, flaws and all. But the pull of family, even a broken one, was hard to ignore. Elena's foundation was planning a spring art showcase, a chance for the shelter's residents to display their work. Jamie threw himself into it, sketching portraits of his friends, the city, even Elena. His pieces were raw, emotional, each one a story of survival. Mia teased him about his intensity, but she was his biggest cheerleader, helping him frame his work. The night of the showcase, the shelter's common room was transformed. Fairy lights hung from the ceiling, and tables held sculptures, paintings, and photographs. Jamie's sketches lined one wall, drawing murmurs from the crowd. Elena moved through the room, her presence commanding yet warm, shaking hands with donors and encouraging the kids. As Jamie adjusted a frame, a voice behind him stopped his heart. "These are incredible, Jamie." He turned, and there was Ryan. Taller, leaner, but unmistakably Ryan, his dark hair falling into his eyes, his smile tentative. Jamie's breath caught, a flood of memories rushing back late-night talks, stolen glances, the letters that had cost him everything. "What are you doing here?" Jamie asked, his voice barely steady. "I saw the flyer downtown," Ryan said. I had to see you." They stepped outside, the night air cool against Jamie's flushed skin. Ryan's story came in halting bursts, his own parents' disapproval, his fear, his regret for not standing by Jamie. "I was a coward," he admitted, his eyes glistening. "I loved you, but I didn't know how to fight for it." Jamie's heart ached, torn between anger and longing. "You left me alone," he said. "Do you know what that did to me?" Ryan reached for his hand, then stopped, uncertain. "I know I don't deserve a second chance. But I'm here now, and I'm not running anymore." Before Jamie could respond, Elena appeared, her expression gentle but protective. "Everything okay?" she asked, her gaze flickering to Ryan. Jamie nodded, his mind a storm. "Yeah. Just figuring things out." The showcase was a success, raising thousands for the foundation. Jamie's sketches sold out, and Elena beamed like a proud parent. But Ryan's return had shaken him. Could he trust him again? Could he trust himself? Over the next weeks, Ryan visited the shelter, helping with small tasks, trying to rebuild what they'd lost. Jamie kept his distance, wary but drawn to the boy he'd once loved. Mia and Leo watched, offering advice Mia's blunt. Leo's poetic, but Jamie knew this was his choice to make. Elena, too, became a constant in his life. She shared her own story, a queer woman who'd fought her way out of poverty, who'd lost her sister but found purpose in helping others. Love is messy, she told him one night over coffee. But it's worth fighting for, whether it's romantic, familial, or for yourself. Jamie began to see a future. He enrolled in community college, majoring in art, with Elena's foundation covering his tuition. He painted, laughed, and started to heal. But Ryan's presence was a question mark, and Caleb's occasional visits stirred old wounds. Jamie was caught between his past and the life he was building, unsure which path to choose. Spring bloomed in Chicago, the city shedding its winter gray for vibrant greens and blues. Jamie's life at the shelter had settled into a rhythm of hope, classes in the morning, art in the afternoon, evenings with Mia and Leo, their banter a shield against the world. But Ryan's return was a crack in that shield, stirring feelings Jamie thought he'd buried. Ryan was persistent, showing up with coffee, helping with shelter events, his eyes always seeking Jamie's. One afternoon, as they sorted donations, Ryan brushed his hand against Jamie's, a fleeting touch that sent sparks through him. "I miss you," Ryan whispered. "I want to make this right." Jamie pulled away, his heart racing. "You hurt me, Ryan. I don't know if I can do this again." Ryan nodded, his face pained but resolute. "I'll wait. However long it takes." The words lingered, a promise and a challenge. Jamie threw himself into his art, channeling his confusion into a new series, vibrant cityscapes laced with shadows, each one a reflection of his inner storm. Elena praised his work, arranging for a local gallery to feature his pieces. "You're telling your story," she said. "That's power." But power felt fragile when Caleb showed up again. This time, he brought news. Their parents wanted to meet. "They're trying," Caleb said, his voice earnest. "They miss you, Jamie. They just don't know how to say it." Jamie's stomach twisted. He'd spent months rebuilding himself, finding a family in the shelter, in Elena, in Mia and Leo. Could he face the people who'd cast him out? "I need time," he told Caleb, his voice firm but trembling. Caleb nodded, leaving behind a letter from their mother. Jamie didn't read it, tucking it into his sketchbook, unready to face her words. Instead, he focused on the gallery show, pouring his energy into his art. The night of the opening, the gallery buzzed with Chicago's art scene, collectors mingling with shelter residents. Jamie's paintings glowed under the lights, each one a piece of his heart. Ryan was there, standing quietly by a canvas of a boy on a park bench, his silhouette bathed in moonlight. "This is you, isn't it?" he asked, his voice soft. Jamie nodded, unable to speak. The painting was raw, vulnerable, a mirror of that rainy night when Elena found him. Ryan's eyes held his, and for a moment, the world fell away. Elena approached, her smile proud. "You did this, Jamie. You turned pain into something beautiful." The show was a triumph, with several paintings sold and a local critic calling Jamie a raw new talent. But as the crowd thinned, Jamie's thoughts turned to the letter in his sketchbook. He slipped away to a quiet corner, unfolding it with trembling hands. "Jamie, we were wrong. We're scared, but we want to understand. Please come home." The words hit like a tidal wave. He wanted to believe them, But trust was a fragile thing, broken by their rejection. He tucked the letter away, unresolved, and returned to the shelter, where Mia and Leo were waiting with celebratory pizza. As summer approached, Jamie's life felt like a tightrope. Ryan was a constant presence, his efforts to rebuild their connection both comforting and unsettling. They started small coffee runs, late-night talks about their dreams. Ryan was studying music at a community college, his passion for the piano unchanged. Jamie found himself softening, remembering the boy who'd once made him feel seen. But his parents let her nod at him. Elena noticed his distraction, pulling him aside one evening. "You don't owe them anything," she said. "But if you want to face them, do it on your terms." Jamie nodded, her words grounding him. He decided to meet his parents, but not alone. He asked Elena to come, her presence a reminder of the strength he'd found. The meeting was set for a neutral Spoda cafe near the shelter. Jamie's heart pounded as he walked in, Elena at his side. His parents looked smaller than he remembered, their faces lined with regret. His mother's eyes were red, his father's hands fidgeting. "We didn't understand," his mother said, her voice breaking. "We thought we were protecting you." "Protecting me?" Jamie's voice was sharp. "You threw me out. You made me feel like I was nothing." His father looked away, ashamed. "We were wrong, Jamie. We want to try again." Elena's hand rested lightly on Jamie's shoulder, a silent anchor. He took a breath, his voice steady. "I'm building a life here. I have people who accept me. If you want to be part of it, you have to accept all of me." The conversation was tense, unresolved, but it was a start. Jamie left feeling lighter, not because he'd forgiven them, but because he'd spoken his truth. Elena hugged him outside the cafe. "You're stronger than you know," she said. Back at the shelter, Ryan was waiting, his guitar in hand. He played a soft melody, one he'd written for Jamie. The notes were an apology, a promise, a question. Jamie listened, his heart torn between the past and the possibility of a new beginning. Summer in Chicago was alive with color festivals along the lakefront, music spilling from open windows, the city pulsing with possibility. Jamie felt it too, a cautious hope blooming in his chest. His art was gaining attention, his college classes were a challenge he welcomed, and Ryan's presence was a melody he couldn't ignore. But his parents' tentative outreach lingered like a storm cloud, threatening the fragile peace he'd built. Ryan was trying, and Jamie saw it. They spent evenings exploring the city-free concerts in Millennium Park, late-night tacos in Pilsen, moments where Jamie could almost forget the pain of their past. One night, under the glow of a street fair, Ryan took his hand, his touch tentative but warm. "I want to be better for you," he said. "If you'll let me." Jamie's heart ached with the weight of that choice. He wanted to trust Ryan, to believe in second chances, but fear held him back. "I need time," he said, and Ryan nodded, his eyes full of quiet determination. At the shelter, Jamie's art became his anchor. He started teaching classes, guiding younger kids through sketches and watercolors. Mia and Leo were his co-conspirators, turning the shelter's art room into a haven of laughter and creativity. Elena watched it all, her pride evident. "You're giving them what I gave you," she told Jamie. "A chance to be seen." But the letter from his parents was a wound that wouldn't heal. They'd called a few times, leaving voicemails Jamie didn't return. Caleb visited, each time more insistent that their parents were changing. "They're going to therapy," he said one afternoon, sitting on Jamie's cot. "They're trying to understand what they did wrong." Jamie wanted to believe it, but the memory of that night, the door slamming, his father's rage was too raw. What if they hurt me again? He asked. Caleb's face softened. Then you have us. Me. Elena. Your friend's here. You're not alone anymore. The words echoed Elena's, a reminder of the family Jamie had found. He agreed to another meeting, this time at the shelter, where he felt safe. Elena offered to mediate, her presence a steadying force. The day arrived, and Jamie's nerves were a live wire as he waited in the common room. His parents arrived, looking out of place among the murals and mismatched furniture. His mother clutched a photo album, her hands trembling. We brought this, she said, sliding it across the table. It's you, growing up. We thought, maybe it'd help. Jamie opened it, his breath catching. Photos of him as a kid grinning at a baseball game, painting with his mother, hugging Caleb stirred memories he'd buried. His father spoke, his voice low. We failed you, Jamie. We didn't know how to handle it, but that's on us. We want to learn. Elena guided the conversation, her questions gentle but firm. Jamie spoke his truth, the pain of their rejection, the fear of trusting them again. His parents listened, tears in their eyes, and for the first time, Jamie saw remorse instead of judgment. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet, but it was a step. As fall approached, Jamie's life felt like a canvas, vibrant but unfinished. His art was featured in another gallery show, this one bigger, with critics and collectors buzzing about his raw emotional depth. Elena helped him secure a scholarship for a prestigious art school, a dream he hadn't dared to voice. Ryan, too, was a constant. They were cautious, rebuilding trust through small moments, a shared playlist, a late-night walk, a kiss under the stars that left Jamie breathless. I love you, Ryan said one night, his voice steady. I always did. Jamie's heart raced, but he wasn't ready to say it back. I'm getting there, he said, and Ryan smiled, content to wait. The shelter's annual Pride event was approaching, a celebration of love and resilience. Jamie volunteered to create a mural for the courtyard, a vibrant collage of faces and stories. He painted Mia's laughter, Leo's quiet strength, Elena's compassion, and a silhouette of himself, no longer on a park bench but standing tall. The night of the event, the shelter was alive with color rainbow flags, music, laughter. Jamie's mural was unveiled to cheers, and he felt a surge of pride. Ryan was there, playing a set with his band, his music weaving through the crowd. As the night ended, he pulled Jamie aside, his guitar still slung over his shoulder. I wrote something for you, Ryan said, strumming a soft melody. The song was raw, honest, a love letter in notes. Jamie listened, tears in his eyes, and when it ended, he kissed Ryan, the world falling away. But the night wasn't over. Caleb arrived, his face pale. It's Mom, he said. She's in the hospital. She wants to see you. The hospital was a maze of sterile corridors, the antiseptic smell sharp in Jamie's nose. Caleb led the way, his steps quick, his face etched with worry. Jamie followed, his heart a tangle of fear and hope. Ryan had offered to come, but Jamie needed to face this aloner nearly alone. Elena was there, her presence a quiet strength as they reached his mother's room. She looked frail in the hospital bed, her face pale, but her eyes bright when she saw Jamie. You came, she whispered, reaching for his hand. Jamie hesitated, then took it, her grip weak but warm. His father stood by the window, his shoulders slumped, silent. It was a heart scare, Caleb explained. She's okay. But it shook us. His mother's voice trembled. I thought I'd lost you forever. Jamie. I don't want to lose you again. The words cracked something in Jamie. He wanted to be angry, to hold on to the pain. But seeing her like this vulnerable, human softened him. I'm here, he said, his voice thick. But I need you to see me. All of me. She nodded, tears spilling. We're trying. We're learning. We love you. His father stepped forward, his voice rough. I'm sorry, son. I was wrong. I want to make it right. It wasn't perfect, wasn't a full reconciliation, but it was a beginning. Jamie left the hospital with Elena, his heart heavy but lighter than it had been in months. You did good, she said, squeezing his shoulder. You faced them with courage. Back at the shelter, life moved forward. Jamie's art school acceptance came through, a full ride to a program in New York. The news was bittersweet be leaving Chicago, the shelter, his found family. Mia and Leo threw him a going-away party, complete with a cake shaped like a paintbrush. You better not forget us, Mia teased, hugging him tight. Ryan was there, his presence steady. They'd grown closer, their love a slow burn, built on trust and time. New York's not that far, Ryan said, his smile soft. I'll visit. Or maybe I'll follow you. Jamie laughed, his heart full. You better. Elena gave him a gift before he left, a new sketchbook, its cover embossed with his initials. Keep telling your story, she said. The world needs it. The day Jamie boarded the train to New York, the shelter's courtyard was packed. Mia, Leo, the kids from his art classes, even Caleb, they all came to see him off. Elena stood at the center, her eyes shining. You changed my life, Jamie told her, his voice breaking. You gave me a home. You made it your own, she said, pulling him into a hug. As the train pulled away, Jamie watched Chicago fade, his sketchbook open on his lap. He drew the skyline, the park bench, the faces of those who'd saved him. His parents were part of his story now, a chapter still unfolding. Ryan was another, a melody he'd carry with him. In New York, Jamie would face new challenges, but he was ready. He'd been broken, cast out, but he'd found Levine himself, in others, in the art that gave him voice. The park bench was a memory, not his future. His story was his own, and it was just beginning.